Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going to get into talking about boogers, Sasquatch, UFOs. Dale Boswell is here. His story is incredible, and you're in for a real treat tonight as we get into the cryptid motion right now. But first, we need to stop and say hello to each and every one of you, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Race Fan with a silver, T-Bone with a bronze medal tonight. And here we go. Let's kick off roll call. We got Luscious Jewels. We got Mel WD-40 lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk boogers without being lubed up. So thank you, Mel. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot as well, okay? All right, scrolling on down, we have Robert Lamoth. And who else do we have? Thunderhead. How are you? Frankie B, nice to see you. Hi, Jaquetta, JSCO, and Necessary Dialogue. Good to have you all here. Area 51, how you doing tonight? Good to have you here as well. Kathy Evans, nice to see you. Mickey G and Dunzel, nice to have you here. Honest Content, how are you tonight? As we scroll on down on our roll call, Lil Cam, what's going on, my man? Mark SRT Wolf, good to see you. Oh, my voice is so hoarse tonight. Oh, my goodness. This forest fire smoke is starting to kick the crap out of me. All right, scrolling on down. Flubber Lane is here. Flubber Lane will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Number 23 in your program tonight, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he goes. Moving on down, we have Undead Jed. How are you? Race Fan, what's going on, man? Jeremy, thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, Al Garay over on Twitch, so excited to talk about boogers tonight that he completed 7 hours of Yeti yoga in just 58 minutes. 7 hours of Yeti yoga in 58 minutes. I don't know how he did it, but he defied physics tonight. Way to go, Al Garay. Good to have you here. All right, moving on down. Let's say hello next to Blix. Nice to have you back. And who is here? Who else? Let's see here. Millennium, my man. J Truth and TCR. How you doing? TCR will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Good evening, Carol Amario. Nice to have you here. T-Bone, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you, T-Bone. We absolutely love you. Here we go. Continuing on down, we got Nelson. How you doing, man? Nice to have you here. East Coast Turnaround on X. Nice to have you here early. And Dave, do you still keep in touch with Lolly? I haven't talked to her in a while. I was meaning to get a hold of her last week. I do have to try, though. Yes. Mr. Cowley, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Baba Yaga, how are you? You're not going to hurt me there, Baba Yaga, are you? That's a dangerous name. Rono, what's happening, Rono? Jeff Steve Garvey is here. he'll hit a home run for you. And let's see. Did I miss anybody? I feel like I did. I probably did. Louise, see, I knew I did. Jason Finch, how are you? And yeah, now we're caught up. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Dale Boswell about to join us. What's it like to live with boogers in your backyard? We're going to get into it. I'm pumped about this one. Absolutely pumped. Dirty Filth, I can tell you right now, the show hasn't even started yet, but I'll tell you, I know you booked an ace in the hole here. I already know. We are in roll call on our YouTube side, which looks like we're already caught up here, and that's a good thing. Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So you go right ahead if you feel like it. It's up to you. And shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. It'll be good for you. Witness Protection, how you doing? Nice to see you. For the rest of you listening in, do me a favor. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shh, be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together, my friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. We want to see you all up here next month, September 18th through 20th, for the first annual Caribou Con in the heart of British Columbia. Tickets on sale now at cariboucon.com. What's it like to have Bigfoot living in your backyard? We're going to go down to the beautiful state of Alabama. We're going to find out. Dale Boswell is here with us tonight to make sure that he fills us all in with his relationship with the boogers. Yeah. Think about that for a second. The relationship with the boogers. In hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will be here to kick things off. Then Grant Baker, who is also on alert for forest fires in Oregon, he will be here for the UFO report. So let's start things up tonight. Let's get the wheels rolling. Let's go into the forest. Dale Boswell is a country music singer-songwriter from Phenix City, Alabama, whose life has taken an extraordinary turn from performing on major stages to exploring the mysteries hidden deep within the forests of the American South. And while music remains a lifelong passion, Dale has become widely recognized in the Bigfoot community for his dedication into researching Sasquatch phenomena. His upcoming book, From the Big Stage to Bigfoot, chronicles his unique journey from a spotlight of the music industry to years of investigating one of North America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Since developing a serious interest in Sasquatch research in 2014, Dale has spent countless hours conducting field investigations, collecting audio recordings, and way more, even photographs. We got to learn about this. You know what? Enough with the bio. Let's just get right to Dale. Dale Boswell, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Dave. I'm doing pretty good. Well, I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit. I tell you what. But I'm sorry to hear that, all the problems you're having with the smoke and all, and I can't imagine something like that. But I hope everything goes okay. But I'm doing fine. It's an honor to be here on your show, and I'm looking forward to it. And we're gonna talk a little bit about boogers, and we call them boogers in the South. It just kind of comes out natural that way. But it's going to be a lot of fun. How are you, sir?
I am doing great, man. Outside, you know what? We've had so much forest fire smoke in the last month that it's really starting to bother my vocal cords. And in radio, like, you could deal with anything. I could deal with burning eyes. I could deal with your skin feeling kind of gross because the ash continues to fall, but in radio, you kind of need a voice. And so I apologize to our audience if I'm a little scratchy tonight, but it is what it is. And as Queen used to sing, the show must go on. So that's why we got to get going. How do you go from being a country music singer to having Bigfoot in your backyard?
Oh man, it's a long story. I call it my two prestigious hobbies. And before I get going too much, I want to apologize for the people watching on YouTube. I'm a little scruffy looking, but I'm filming a movie in November, and my part is I'm a scruffy old grumpy driver hauling around a apocalyptic hitman or something, and it starts filming in November. So I'm trying to. I wish I could grow a beard like yours, brother. You could grow a good beard, but man, this is about the best I can do, but
yeah.
But anyways, for you radio folks, I'm looking pretty good. But you too, I'm kind of a little scruffy looking. But other than that, I'm doing real good. And man, it started out well. My career playing music, I started when I was about, I guess, 13, 14 years old, as far as, starting to play guitar and the chords and things like that. And enjoyed that, and got to do a lot of cool things and meet a lot of people. And I got up to about 2011, and I had to have some surgery on my neck. And I have a titanium plate. You got 7 vertebrae in your neck, and I've got 5 of mine connected together with a titanium plate and 10 screws. So it's from I've got degenerative disc disease where your spine, gravity's whooping me good. But that surgery was in 2011, and I didn't realize at the time, or doctors didn't know, but they didn't tell me. But the titanium plate presses against my vocal cords, so that took out a lot of my a lot of my range. It took out my falsetto totally. That's where you can kind of go into a higher range above what you normally do, and the low notes as well. So once I recovered and could talk and sing a little bit, I had to start doing a lot of different music and things, picking things where I could hit the range. And that was aggravating, but I made it work. But anyway, it's during that time that I couldn't do much, couldn't play music, so I was watching a lot of TV and YouTube that time. And one day I just reached up and put a Bigfoot in the search engine to see what would happen. Because I was always kind of interested in Bigfoot from since the time I was a kid. Just like basically everybody that chases boogers, the Leonard Nimoy series and the Patterson film, all that stuff. So I always kind of had a little interest in it. But anyway, during that time, I put in Bigfoot in the search engine, and I was just astonished at everything that popped up. I'm like, well, good gracious, this is pretty cool. So I just started researching, started meeting people, and getting into the Bigfoot community, and learning as much as I could, talking to everybody I could, and it got up to it was where I actually started heavy duty researching was in 2014, actually July of 2014. I remember clearly. And what happened was my daughter had a doctor's appointment one morning, so I was supposed to take her. So we got up that morning, we was getting ready to leave, and we was going out the door, and she said, do we have polar bears in Alabama. Now I like turn and look, and like, did you bump your head? Or, what are you talking about, polar bears? But she said what had happened, and start with, she knows nothing about Bigfoot, could care less about Bigfoot, just has no interest whatsoever. But she walked out that night on the front porch to smoke a cigarette, and that same day I took a 4 foot. Well, I took a piece of plywood, 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall. And, your average booger description is about that size, around 8 feet tall. So being my profession most years was a graphics designer and a technical illustrator. That was my real job. Along with playing music. So I took and scaled up just a silhouette of a Bigfoot, not the one you see sideways, but just a front view of it, like it was standing there looking at you. I have to send you that a copy of that picture. But what it is, I had it standing up in my carport. I had painted the front side of it black, of course, and I leaned up against my carport, so I could dry. Next day I was going to finish the back side, but it was facing the tree line. And my daughter, she said, I come out last night. She said, I swear, she said, what looked like a polar bear to me was standing right over there in that tree line by that tree and was looking at that thing you built. And I was like, what? And her description of it convinced me totally what she had seen. Because, like I say, she's known nothing about Bigfoot, could care less about it. But she described right onto the limb about where his head was, where I could measure it. And it's just, just a few feet from my front door steps. And so it was around 8 feet tall. And when she saw me, she said it was white, but almost kind of a dirty white. And she said, what was funny, she said from like the knees down, had a little bit of orange tint to it. Like a Labrador retriever or something gets plays in the mud, or the red Georgia clay, or it gets a little, it starts turning orange. She said that's what it looked like. But the biggest thing that really convinced me, what she saw, she said, and suddenly she said, it did like this. And it was gone. She said, no noise, not nothing. She said, just like that, and it was gone. And man, I couldn't wait to get back home and start looking, because, to this point, I just started studying boogers, and like everybody else, I figured they were everywhere but here, around my house. You expect that, figure you got to find a location or somebody, or go to Bluff Creek or something, So I never expected, anything in my backyard as far as the wood. And I live way out in the country, just surrounded by woods, I should have looked, but, I was too busy looking everywhere else. From here to, I traveled from, Phenix City to, and researched in Houston, Texas, all the way to New Mexico, and in different places, up in the mountains of New Mexico and things like that. But, of course, never saw anything enough to really brag about or document. So when we got home, I couldn't wait to get out in the woods and just look. And me and my wife and I, we actually went out in the back and started looking around. And she said, that looks like one of those things you've been looking at on TV. And I was looking through the woods, and she spotted some tree structures out in the woods behind my house. So, I started checking those out, and we found tree bends, and, where they bend it and some that way, and twisting and things, And so that's what really started my interest as far as research around my house. And I call it Boogerville.
Boogerville. That is a T-shirt, my man. Boogerville. You could probably make money off of that. Having a T-shirt called Boogerville.
I'm gonna do it one of these days. And being a graphics designer, I'm gonna work on it.
I want one. When you do, I want one.
You got it. You'll get the first batch.
Dale Boswell is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Now, considering that you got these things hanging out in your backyard, literally, what did they do? How did you find out that they were there? How did you find out that they were around closer than what you may have thought previously?
Well, we'll scoot up to 2018, and that's when I had the only sighting I've had where I actually seen something with my own eyes. Even though I've recorded videos and photos, and a lot of those photos and videos you take, you're not sure you're seeing something until you get home. And that's one thing I tell researchers, be sure and look at your footage, even if you don't think you've caught nothing. You look, because you may have. And because these boogers, they don't want you to see them. That's their whole object of playing the game they do. But anyway, it was in I think it was May of 2018, and the weird thing is it's like 9:30 in the morning. So I was drinking a cup of coffee and I was looking out my kitchen window out in the backyard. So I saw a beautiful red fox was out in a little field in my backyard, and I thought, wow, that was pretty. So I thought I'd grab my coffee and a camera and go do me a National Geographic, and follow it around a little bit and just get some photos, videos. So, even though I've been out in the woods lots of time, looking at tree structure and things, I normally go tromping out there and don't pay no attention, because these boogers, they know when you're coming. They know you're there, for the most part. So I never tried to sneak up on any of them. But this particular day, I was being as stealthy as I could, trying to follow this fox. So he went out into the woods, just not far, from my house, just on the other side of my neighbors, and there's a road back there that comes down, and there's some more property, and the road kind of makes a horseshoe, old dirt road, and comes back around right to on the other side of the highway there. But there's a fence right there beside it, and it's real squatchy looking there. But anyway, I followed this fox, and he went through that fence and went down, took off down the road. So, like I said, it was a beautiful day, and it was 9:30 in the morning, and I was drinking some coffee. I was standing there, so I put my phone back in my pocket, and just suddenly, just from my left, something shot out from the woods, and like this U-shaped road I was telling you about. It's not that far apart. I could see this side rolling through the woods. You can see the other side where it runs around. But this thing, it come out of the woods, and it was solid black, and it was leaning at maybe a 15-degree angle, way it was moving, but its head looked like it was turned back real funny, kind of like that, real weird looking, and it was moving faster than anything I've ever seen down that road. And of course, I was looking and studying it, and it didn't last, but maybe. Well, here's why I describe it. If you take your eyes and you move them to the left, and as far as you can, and you move them as slow as you can to the right, 2 or 3 seconds. That's about how long I saw this thing. But during that time, just learning my research skills, first thing I did was look up, make sure there wasn't a plane or a bird or something just casting a shadow there. Even though you could see the shadow of this thing, on the trees, a shadow kind of bounces in and out of the trees, when it's moving. So
Yes,
it definitely was something moving there, and it looked like it was at least man size, and it was moving so fast and totally silent. But the crazy thing is all of a sudden, all the blood seemed like went to my head. Seemed like I was just turning. It felt like my head was swelling up, and I felt like I was about to cry. And I wasn't. It didn't scare me anything. I was just it was just kind of cool. I thought, I didn't feel it. I was too. It was too weird to feel too excited or scared. But I was just watching. But all of a sudden, this come over me, and I got really confused. And even though I was within walking distance, I could see my house through the woods from where I was at. It seemed like it was 100 miles away, and all I could think of at the time was, like I said, I've always documented everything throughout my career, my music career, and and Bigfoot and things. So
yes,
the first thing I did was grab my camera, and I was going to film myself just in case I was having a heart attack or something in them woods, that somebody will know what went on, And so I filmed myself just saying, and I said what I just saw. I explained what I saw, how fast it was moving and stuff, and 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 this is on video. You can find it on my YouTube page. Just look it up, and all my evidence things and stuff on my YouTube page. So feel free to look at it. But so and it was so weird. 'Cause it took me a second to even get my camera up and all, and it was upside down. I couldn't figure out how to turn it this way or that way. I was so confused. Like I say, it felt like I was about to cry. And so I literally stumbled back to my house and got through the back door. And my wife, she's a retired nurse, and she thought I was maybe having a heart attack or something.
Right.
But I figured out it was maybe anxiety or something. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't long after I calmed down and I felt okay. But here's the kicker to it. Later that day, I had a doctor's appointment scheduled. So I went to see my doctor. And, I was feeling pretty decent, pretty good then. And she took my blood pressure and put the little thing on your finger and stuff. Then she took my blood pressure again. And she stopped and she said, Mr. Boswell, said, are you feeling okay? I said, yes, I'm doing pretty good. She said, well, your blood pressure has never been this high. And I thought, you know what? I've never seen a booger before either. I don't know if that's got something to do with it, and I, she's my doctor is my friend, so I told her, what had happened. And so I guess it's on my medical files, high blood pressure due to seeing a booger in the backyard. I don't know, but that kind of validated it. That something went on. Then I started studying a little more on the infrasound thing, and I'm just curious if that thing that come out them woods didn't zap me with something, And my thinking was that because I kind of snuck through the woods, maybe it didn't see me at the time and took off after that fox because they went in the same direction the fox did. And I don't know. I just theorized maybe it took off and seen me and lasers on stunned me or what. But I've never felt like that since then. And it was the weirdest thing. But that was what really got me going in deeper in the research. And that was the only sighting I've had with my own eyes.
We got about 2 minutes to go before we go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Dale Boswell is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You did a great job in describing the emotion of having that close encounter. I don't think a lot of people realize how it changes you when you see something. I mean, there are times it's been emotional for me. There are times it's absolutely ecstatic, but there is always that fear factor that comes along with it too, isn't there?
I guess so. I guess it is, and it's good to have that fear factor in there. But you may need it sometime. But like I said, I don't know what had happened, why that happened to me. But it's the craziest thing I've ever felt in my life, and like I said, I haven't felt it since, even though I've been out them woods. And of course, I've been to that same spot a million times. I guess just thinking he's gonna come back out there, and do it again. Yeah, that was one of the craziest things I have ever witnessed in my life. And like I said, I didn't feel scared, not at all. So I don't know what had happened, but people that you talk to feel different things when they see one of these boogers. Whether and I don't think they're getting zapped. Whatever a zap thing is, for that didn't feel good. I don't think boogers do that. This could have been a dog man or a witch or a spook. I don't know, but it was solid black, and running that fast and man size. But it was an amazing thing, and actually wrote a song about my sighting. I don't remember it, but it's on my YouTube site. But that was in 2018, and I had another encounter that's unbelievable. I tell you, after the break, where I have the video of a possible juvenile Bigfoot, and I caught his face from here up. He was no more than probably 6 feet from me.
Really?
And it was crazy. I'll tell you that story when we get back from the break.
Yeah, we definitely need to hear that story. All the way from Alabama, Dale Boswell, country singer to Bigfoot researcher to one of the most respected people in the field today, and we are so glad to have him sharing his encounters, his stories, and so much more. We got him for another 90 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. This is going to be epic. Absolutely epic. I love close encounters and people's experiences. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, Dale, we are clear.
Good deal.
Good morning, Skip to Malou. Triple gem shining. Welcome.
I don't know about those, but them.
Phyllis, how are you? Phyllis Boucher Perry, right there, everybody. About time you and John got your asses back in the chat room here.
I'll play some background music.
Please do.
The Twilight Zone.
Love it. Love it. Keep playing if you want, man. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
Here's the soundtrack to Jaws. You can play this one finger. Watch this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need. Exactly what I need. Oh, my goodness.
Did you hear that lonesome whippoorwill? It sounds too blue to fly. Well, that midnight train is a winding low. I'm so lonesome I could cry. That's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever known. And of course, written by Hank Williams and recorded by everybody.
Great job, buddy.
If we do a song during the broadcast, I'll do an original something, so we won't get no YouTube strikes.
That works. That works, my man. We got about 2.5 minutes.
I hadn't played in so long, man. I am so rusty. I'm as rusty as these strings are. I'm telling you, I hadn't pulled this guitar out of the case since March. Actually, last conference I did.
Oh yeah,
was in March. Yeah. Here's the way Johnny Cash did it. That's where that famous beat come from. What they do, they would instead of hearing the chorus string like that, he actually took a dollar bill and put up in the strings and deadened the sound where it did this. Or
Oh,
Johnny
wow.
Cash. Anyways, I'm just rambling.
I love it. I love it, my man. Thank you. All right. T-Bone, thank you ×2 for the super chats. We greatly appreciate your love and support of SOR. No, I didn't celebrate Shark Week last week. I missed it. I missed it. I really did. That's my bad on that part. We're coming back in 10 seconds, everybody, and we're going to get going with Dale. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as we talk about what it's like to have Bigfoot in your backyard. Dale Boswell is our guest. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Bigfoot in his backyard. Dale Boswell likes to call them bookers down in Alabama. And a close encounter really put some fear into him, a little while ago. And now he's here to talk about it. I mean, now, do you think the Bigfoot know where you live?
I would think they would, and I'm a firm believer. As crazy as it sounds, like they creep around your house. I bet they look in the windows at you and stuff. I mean, wouldn't you if you was a booger and you would run around the wood and you seen these little hairless things, these huts, when you want to peek in there and see what they're doing, So I firmly believe that they know where I live at least. I've heard of them following people home, for miles, for whatever particular reason. But I really like that. I know they're back there, or they've been back there. Or my theory is that they come through here, like passing through, maybe field or something, So I always use as a joke is where does a booger cross the road? In front of my house, I think that's the reason why they're around here. And I don't go back there as much as I used to, so I'm not sure the activity, what's going on. I've seen a few tree structures that were new just a few days ago back in there. But like I said, I haven't. My health hasn't been real good this year, so I haven't done as much research as I used to do, or much of anything, to tell you the truth. But if you I want to get back to the juvenile booker I was telling you about.
Yes,
and
please.
This happened also in May of 2018. And, for some reason, 2018 was the year for me as far as collecting evidence. But this is one of the weirdest things. And like I say, I don't talk about nothing that you can't look at on my YouTube page that I didn't document it with some kind of photographs or videos or something. I rarely tell other stories besides, just my story and my thing. So if you want to look at my YouTube page or Facebook or whatever, I actually got a Facebook private group. It's called Boogerville, of course, So
Of course.
you look on there, and I post a lot of stuff. But yeah, this was, I think it was May of 2018. It was it was like maybe 12:30 at night. Maybe it was around this time, actually, 12:30, 1 o'clock at my house, where I'm at. But again, I was sitting at my kitchen table, and the window was open, and all of a sudden I heard the awfulest screaming and hollering coming from the woods behind my house. I mean, just a bellowing type sound, and you can hear it on the video. And I didn't know what it was, So my instinctive researcher skills told me to grab my camera. So I did, and my flashlight. So for some reason I had thought, I've been out there many times, with a flashlight looking for eye shine, things like that, and documented quite a bit of eye shine here and there that I couldn't explain, but I'd go out there often there. So for some reason I had told myself, next time I go out there and I'm going to look for eye shine, I said, here's what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to have my camera on. And back then I had a real video camera, the Sony Handycam, folded out with the little screen and stuff, it was a real video camera. It's probably a 2010 model. It was old, but I had my video camera. But I said, next time I go look for some eye shine, here's what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to have my flashlight off. And when I get to the tree line, I'm gonna have my camera on. As soon as I hit that flashlight, and exactly what I did. As soon as I got near the tree line, I hit the flashlight and I panned my whole backyard, just like that, from left to right. And with my own eyes, I didn't see anything. I was too busy looking for eyes. I wasn't even looking at my camera, really. I just knew I was panning, like this, and wasn't really looking in my camera to see what I was catching. So I didn't see anything. But I could still hear that hollering out there, and I, it was kind of spooky, and I wasn't bad to go out there and see what that was. So this is why I tell people up. You can see the head, you see the big old ears, little heavy brow ridge, and
Right.
the eyes were dark and black. The nose, you could tell, wasn't quite human, but quite human. It was human shaped. And the mouth was real large. And like I say, you can see this on the video. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but it's there on this film. And what it apparently, again, I snuck out there. The only other time I snuck out to the woods, I snuck out there this time, to get the eye shine and see what was hollering out there. So I think this might play a factor to this again. But this thing had come up. You see, first you see, it looks like a fog, like a shape tight fog, and it's coming through woods like this. Then it comes back around and it comes up to me like this and looks at me like this, goes, and it's gone. Like I surprised it, and you can see a surprised look on his face. I mean, where eyes get a piece of it. Everything you can do to footage to prove to make it disappear, enhance it, enlarge it, slow it down, speed it up, revert it, just everything you can do with a graphics, type of, forensic graphics analysis or something like that. And it's there, whatever this is, and it looks like a monkey to me, it looks like what people describe as Bigfoot. And it wasn't no more than 6 feet from me, is what's the crazy thing about it. Now, when I was analyzing this footage and looking at it, and like I said, I studied it hard. And to this day, I beg people to take it yourself, analyze. You look at it, if you know how to, analyze the film, let me know. I'll send you the original. You look at it and see what you see, and tell me. But one evening I was looking at it, and I was just gonna just based on that one clip, booger coming in, looking at me and taking off. So I enhanced the brightness, because it's real dark outside. I enhanced the brightness 100%. And it brought up, a lot of stuff. And you can see where I was standing, there's a tree, kind of like, not, about maybe 5 feet from me. And you see the booger over here, and I have a little booger, what I call my booger hut. It's actually like a gazebo, kind of off the ground. I got a little top on. I go out there and sit there in my booger hut, and my thermal camera and night vision, just watch for critters walking through the woods. But the weirdest thing, after I enhanced the brightness, it brought up something that actually scared me. And you can, like I say, you can see this when you look at it. And like I say, the booger was here. All of a sudden, something comes up it's in front of me, almost beside me, and goes up like this between me and the tree. You see it outlined as clear as day because it blocks off the tree as it goes between me and the tree. And it's shaped like a freaking gorilla. You can see the head shape, it come down with the arms and shoulders, and it looked like his right arm was maybe bent because it looked like it's bent at the elbow. And this is the weirdest thing. It looks like it just freaking floats off, just like that.
Weird.
It don't go this way or that. It just looked like, I mean, you can see it just looked like it floats off. There was no sound. It's completely silent. And like I said, I have looked at this film so much trying to figure this out because it was just right here in front of me. And I didn't hear a thing. I didn't see nothing. But my theory is, and I thank God I didn't see anything because I'm thinking if I saw that little juvenile booger out there and reached out towards us or something, this might have been the mama or guardian or something. It might have ripped my head off, and I might have been, in one of those 411 books or something,
Right.
But that's the weirdest thing I have ever filmed, and it's out there. You can find it and look at it, and make up your own mind. But there's no way not to see anything but a little monkey-looking, bald-headed monkey face with little black eyes, looking at me like that. Like, whoa, where'd you come from? But so that was in 2018.
Well, let me just fill in. I want to get into here a couple of things because I can recognize a couple of things that you stated. Number one, the very broad eyebrow region on the forehead. We caught a picture. My research partner Tim last year caught a picture of one in a tree, and we didn't know it until way after we left. But when he zoomed in on the tree, you could see this big guy staring at us from the tree, and he had the deep eyes with the very large protruding like eyebrow area on his forehead. So that sounded very familiar when you said that, and then when you were talking about how it just seemed to float away, and you didn't know how it happened in 2022 with my last sighting that I had. That's kind of what happened with us. We knew where he was standing. We were watching him. It was 9:45 at night on a full moon night, and we had the moonlight along with our flashlights on him. He moved to his left, our right. He would have had to jump over a bunch of fallen birch trees. We would have heard him. If he went to his right, our left, he would have had to cross the logging road and go up about a 6-foot, 7-foot embankment. And if he went backwards, he would have faded into the darkness. And he sure as heck didn't come forward, yet none of us saw how he left. So I understand very clearly what you are telling us about these things. And I don't know whether it's because maybe their hair is translucent like a polar bear, and they can easily camouflage in different lights, or if they have some sort of supernatural ability where they can just make themselves vanish.
I believe it's a little bit of both. I have no doubt they have a supernatural ability. Just no doubt. Just from all you hear, from all the crazy things that these things seem to do. They're almost like if you take about every animal in the kingdom and put them all together. It's got the speed of a deer and the strength of a bear, and just probably the smell senses of a wolf, just cunning as a cat. I mean, to me, it's like the complete animal kingdom all rolled in one with a touch of some people in there somehow or another, because it's got some kind of human type appearance or trait or something or whatever. Something's in there got to do with us from somewhere down the line. I don't know. I haven't studied the DNA theory about that very much, besides what little bits we do hear from research going on. But yeah, you're right. I think they got superpowers. That's all you can say. They got superpowers. It's cool.
Yeah, and And do you think that, or what is your theory on like the ones that you are kind of having these encounters with? Do you think they're familiar with you? You think that they understand who you are, what you are about, how you dress, how you drive?
Well, I would think they would. I don't know how often they come around, but I kind of put myself in the booger shoes, and I would think, well, I would, these things are seen mostly during active areas when people's camping or hunting or fishing or playing ball or something. They look off and see it. And we heard this before. I believe that we are their entertainment. It's got to be pretty boring out in the woods all day. Well, there's a squirrel, and let's see if we can find an apple tree or whatever. Again, if I was a booger, I'd be hanging out looking at, seeing what all this crazy stuff we've been doing. So I definitely believe if they stay in a certain area long enough, that they learn the people that live there and the habits and along with all the animals and things such as that. They just got to. It just makes sense to me. Really does.
How often are your encounters with these happening?
I don't know how to judge that. Of course, I've been out a lot of times, not see or hear anything. I tell people it's like fishing. Sometimes you get a bite and sometimes you don't. But I really don't go out enough activity, and I should be in there in my backyard, but I really don't want to run them off. To tell you the truth, I really don't. I've never done a tree knock back here, because I don't want to. I don't really know what that means, and if they're here, I'd rather them hang around and where I can maybe spot them or see something once in a while, and let them entertain me for a little bit. But the latest thing that I actually caught on film was about 3 years ago. And a friend of mine named Terry Allen is a researcher. He lives up around Alexander City or Sylacauga, Alabama, something there. But he wanted to go boogering sometimes. So I said, well, come on to the house. So they come out to my house one weekend, and that evening, it was about to get dark. You could still see a beach. So let's go outside and walk around a little bit in the backyard. So we walked out and took our cameras, and we were just prancing around there, and we was both filming, and I was running my mouth, and we didn't see anything again, didn't hear anything, and didn't pay much attention. Went back in the house, and the next day we went out and we caught some eye shine on a tree, just near the tree line behind my house, and saw something that was really crazy up in the tree, and actually videoed this, and it freaked us both out that we were cutting. You know how you see something and it really freaked us out, that we were like, oh, what is this? And it looked like a black blob up in the tree, but it was flying around between the limbs and things. It looked like about the size of a garbage can lid. And we both seen this at the same time and said an ugly word right at the same time. And I was trying to get my camera on it and watch it with my eyes, and we don't have no idea what that was, but it was crazy, but it was a weird weekend. But that after he had went home, he studied the film that he was filming back there, and he sent it to me. He said, I think we caught a booger back there. And I definitely believe we did. And again, this is on my YouTube page. And it looks similar to what I saw in 2018 as far as the outline of it, or the its basic shape. It was black, of course. It was almost getting dark, but there was this big old oak tree out there, and he was kind of filming towards that oak tree. And you look at this thing, and it's like it was watching him. And when his camera would go this way, it'd go this way. When his camera would go this way, it'd go this way. So all of a sudden, it kind of just, I said, the heck with it, and it took off this way. And there's an opening in the woods where where you see the light coming through the trees and stuff, and it went right through that opening where you see about down to its waist, and see it shot through that opening there. And and you clearly see it, and it was fast and solid black or whatever it was. And again, It didn't make a sound. It wasn't probably 20 feet from us, you know. So that was yeah, probably about 20 feet from us. So that was one of the craziest things that I've caught on film back there. Telling me again, it might have been the same booger I saw in 2018. I don't know, but we caught it, and we know it wasn't no person back there. You're gonna, about getting dark, you're gonna be running through my woods and heading towards the deep woods. Is where it was heading. There was a person be heading out towards a road or somewhere to get away, but it took off. That was a crazy thing to catch that, because you don't never know. And again, I encourage people to look at all your photos and your videos you take. And another thing is, one thing I encourage people is, when you go out boogering out to the woods somewhere, always park your vehicle in the exit position, because you never know when you need to jump in there and go. And that happened to me one time. I emailed that audio to you. I don't know if you caught it or not, but it's an audio.
I did not get that. No.
Yeah, I sent it to you earlier today. A couple audios that I had caught. One was a ghost type audio. When I used to do ghost hunting before I got into the Bigfoot thing. That's when the ghost hunting was big.
Yes.
So, my wife and we did that. And we traveled around, did some of the big spots that the ghost hunters went to St. Augustine, Florida, places like that. And I tell you some pretty scary ghost stories. It actually got too scary and too real, and that's why we quit the ghost hunting. And not long, went into the Bigfoot thing not long after that.
I want you to hold that thought. We're going to continue with the Bigfoot talk when we return. Dale Boswell, from country music to searching for what he calls boogers. We call them Bigfoot. We call them Sasquatch. And we're going to get more into his incredible encounters and stories. We appreciate you tuning us in tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back for hour 2. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Dale, we're just going to play a little video here for about 5 minutes, then we'll be back, okay?
Sounds good.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit CaribouCon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific. Join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten, the 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
All right, we bring Dale back in. Thank you to T-Bone ×2 for our super chats. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up tonight. We greatly appreciate your support. It helps with the YouTube algorithms. And if you're listening on the podcast side, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, follow, whatever it may be. It helps us out immensely, and we would greatly appreciate your love and support. Dale, we're coming back in about 15 seconds.
Sounds good.
Here comes the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Bopers. Bopers is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go over to Dale Boswell. This is a gentleman from Alabama who's had multiple booger encounters, boogers equating to Bigfoot. Now, Dale, in your research and in your area, that you have kind of started building this, I'm going to call it a trust with them. Do you still feel safe around them, or do you still feel that you got to be a little bit on edge?
Well, I've never felt, uneasy or knowing that they were out there or thinking that they were out there as far as harming me or anything. The only thing I would consider even close to violent, and this happened way before I even was thinking about boogers, to tell you the truth. It happened right after I bought this home, matter of fact. I live in an old shack out in the Phenix City, Alabama, and I'm just not far. Well, Fort Benning, Georgia, is almost in my front yard. I see their planes when they're circling and dropping out people in parachutes and stuff. Even though I'm in Alabama, but Columbus, Georgia, is our sister city. The Chattahoochee River is the only thing that separates Phenix City and Columbus, and Fort Benning is right there with us. So why they call it the Tri-City area, I guess. But so we're not far. Actually, Fort Benning goes over into the Alabama side a little bit, So that's why I get to see a lot of things from my house, even though I'm in Alabama, and seeing Fort Benning, Georgia. But anyways, there's some weird things that went on around here. And like I say, when I first bought this house, my wife and I, Robin, if she's watching, hey baby, but we got married. We got 6 kids between. She had 3 and I had 3. The Brady Bunch thing. But not long after we bought the house, late one night, on the far end of the house where the kids were staying, I heard it sounded like a car run into the house. I mean, it was that loud, just almost shook the windows. So while I was going out the bedroom that way, they were coming this way. Won't know what the heck happened, And I was thinking, well, I thought that was y'all. I thought somebody done jumped or fell down or fighting or something. But they said, no, we don't know what happened. It just sounded like something exploded. And at that time, I didn't have a neighbor. I have a neighbor now, but they at that time, it was just an empty lot, just grown up woods, And the house had been vacant for quite a while. So I've heard people talk about this, but I'm just wondering if maybe a booger came up and banged my house. What long, like, hey, what are y'all doing in this house? There ain't nobody supposed to be here. I don't know, but that was kind of spooky when I thought back on it. And it was, of course, I always try to debunk, when you're boogering or doing anything like that, try to debunk first thing you do. So I thought maybe it was a sonic boom, because, right near Fort Benning here. And it could have been, but it sounded like it just hit the side of the back side of the house. And I've lived here in this house for 26 years, and I've never heard a sonic boom since, if that's what it was. But, that was long before I started boogering or getting out through them woods. It might have been a good thing, if I just moved in and started out there poking around in their neighborhood, they might have poked me back. But again, to answer your question, no, I never feel scared about these boogers, these critters out there. Like I said, I don't know if they're out there, when they're out there, and when they're not. Of course, don't any of us know. But just from the tree structure things I've been, and they out there, and they change often, and something will pop up over there or something different. And as far as I guess you would call evidence that you can actually hold your hand. One time I got several cats. One time, one that went to road piece, so I was going to go out and see if I could spot him. So I went there. There's a road that runs in front of my house. It's just a country road, it's not a highway. And it's got an embankment that comes up to about 6 or 8 feet, So and it's just right before it gets into the tree line, maybe 8 or 10 feet before going into the woods. So I was walking along the edge right there, just within sight of my house, and there was an old ant bed. And there's photographs and things, videos of this, but there's an old ant bed there and had a humongous footprint in it. Looked like a booger footprint, like you see people take, photos of the footprint, and it was in that big ant bed. Or I guess it was dead, but it was an old ant bed. And I truly believe that this booger come probably across the road, up that bank, and stepped across to go into the tree line, and I accidentally stepped in that ant bed. Because boogers don't leave tracks intentionally. Why would they? You see these videos of them walking down the road or walking through a field. They don't do that. They may be running across the field or running across the road, but you don't see them just casually walking down the middle of the road and things. I just don't believe they would. It don't make sense they would do that. They might, but it'd be a real secluded area, where they can do it all the time and not, have anybody coming around. But I truly believe that a booger jumped up on that hill and accidentally stepped in that ant bed. And I got good photos and videos, but I have never cast anything before. And I actually had some casting stuff. No, actually, I had to go to the hardware store and grab some. I sure did. So, and it was about to rain. So I grabbed a 5-gallon bucket and put over top of the footprint in case it rained while I was gone. So I shot up to the hardware store and got some plaster. And I've watched people do this on TV and stuff, so I thought I could do it. But I didn't. It didn't turn out too good. So I messed up the cast and messed up the prints, but I got good photos and videos of it. But that's only solid, what I would call proof of evidence. And I heard that phrase from, I was hanging out with Cliff Brockman from Finding Bigfoot one time at Expedition Bigfoot, the museum in just right above Atlanta, in Cherry Log, Georgia, I think was where. Expedite Bigfoot Museum is a great museum. It's run by my good friend David. It runs a store. Him and his wife. It's a beautiful museum, but. Barackman, he called it proof of evidence. And it's a good phrase because what it means is it's proof that I've got evidence of something. Even though I can't prove what made this track, I've got solid evidence that something made it. So proof of evidence is a good phrase I like using. I can't prove what did it, but I can prove that something did, or somebody, or whatever, And that's the only solid evidence the only track I've ever found that I could really say I know that. I've actually seen other tracks behind my house, but they were more in the leaves and stuff, and they kind of look like tracks, maybe not. It could have been, but the activity around here it's crazy, and I guess I hope it's regular. Like I say, I try not to get out there and bother them too much or shoo them off. But I've had lots of reports from other people seeing things from this area. I've got of course, I got to show out, so I got a decal on the side of my truck, my car. Dale Boswell, Bigfoot Research and stuff. Because you don't never know. And I rarely get any sarcastic remarks or anything, but lots of times I'll be in somewhere and I'll come out and somebody be standing by my car and they'll say, "Are you serious about this?" And I'll say, "Absolutely." I'll say, "Let me tell you what I saw." And I hear so many accounts, even from like policemen and even some lawyers and doctors, people like that. So you hear a lot of people just don't want to talk to anybody about these things, but they'll talk to somebody they know ain't going to laugh at them, and every once in a while you get somebody, these are the ones that kind of funny, but some old dude, he'll be talking about like, "Boy, I've been hunting in these woods all my darn life. I ain't never seen nothing like that." And I'll point way out in the woods. I said, "Reckon what's out there about 200 yards out in them woods right now?" He said, "I don't know." I'm like, Well, there you go. You can't see everything that's out there. You're not out there all the time, but the skeptics, you got to keep on board, because they kind of keep us on their trail, on the right path. So, I don't have nothing against our skeptical folks. But
have you ever encountered other cryptid creatures along your way out in your Bigfoot area?
Well, I did. And this is also, it's on the same film of the juvenile Bigfoot, where I pan the camera, and this film is 58 seconds long from time I pan it from the tree line. And like I say, I've studied it frame by frame by frame by frame, and that's a lot of frames for 58 seconds when you got, 30 seconds per frame. But the little juvenile booger, he was so fast, he was only 7 frames where he come in and turned his head, and you see the side of his head and side of his face where he goes on with 7 frames of his actual speed. But analyzing that film, when I panned it all the way to the right, I wish I'd have went just 1 foot further with my flashlight. But I caught this thing just barely, and looked like I caught it right it's been on this side of the face. So it looked like his face lit up from the light, and it looks like a cartoon coyote. I could see it because I caught his profile. Looks just like a cartoon coyote face to me, And the thing is it come around, and in the film, this is very clear. You can count 5 fingernails that lit up from the flashlight when I hit it with that flashlight, and it spun around. They were standing by a tree, and you see this arm coming from the tree, and you count 5, looks like fingernails, and you see it, the black shape of an arm and like a hand come across like that. And it wasn't fair. It wasn't 5 fireflies out there following each other, through the woods. But it was by a tree where I could actually go out and measure where it was standing at. It was in my backyard. And where its arm come across looked like it was about waist high to it, but it would have hit me in the face. So this thing was at least 8 feet tall, and it come across, it turned and took off back there to the backwoods, back of the woods. But the video's not real good, but it's enough where you can see something was back there, and I think it was a dog man. I really do.
Wow.
And here's my theory on that whole 58-second film. Is I believe whatever that was hollering and screaming out in the woods, some people that hunt and know more about it, animal sound I do, thought they might have been a deer in distress, is what they would tell me. But I think all these critters heard that thing and they went after it, see what it was, because not only, and this is crazy, but again, I beg people to take that film and look at it. Don't just listen to what I'm telling you. But I caught at least 4 critters in that film. I caught the juvenile Bigfoot right here, the mama, whatever that was, took off that way, and the dog man looking thing over here on this side was 2 sets of eye shine. Looked like it was coming from this direction. But it's all in that film, that 58-second film that I snuck out there and spun the light on them real quick, But so, the dog man thing, I don't know if they live together, or maybe what I've been seeing out here is a dog man, I have no idea, but that would be the only other cryptid that I have had an encounter with, that I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Of course, back in the ghost hunting days, I had a little fun. Hey, talking about dog man in Fort Benning, how long we got? I got a good story.
Oh, we got 7 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a story. I'm gonna tease you about it first, because it may take a few minutes. But you have to look. This is, like I said, I don't tell many stories that not my personal stories, or that I can't show you. If I told you I was hanging out with Glenn Campbell, I'll show you my picture of me and Glenn Campbell, or Farron Young, or me and Waylon Jennings, or me and Merle Haggard. If I tell a story, I'm gonna show you that. Yeah, see, I was there. Uh, but there's a story. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. I think it's called 79, like 1979. Fort Benning military something. It's episode 24. I can't remember the page that the YouTube page is on. It's several years old, but it's something that happened in 1979 in Fort Benning in Harmony Church area, and I know the area well. I've been out there when I used to work out on Fort Benning, and there was a soldier killed, and this guy is telling all this, and on this podcast, and he come forth after years not talking about it, and when he come to talk about it is after his mother had passed away. And he went home, was reading some old letters that he had sent her through the years while he was only 18 years old when he was stationed here in basic training. He had sent her some letters, and he told her about this event, and it brought back the memories to him, but it was something that he just didn't try to think about too often. And a soldier was killed out there. The MPs were there. The drill sergeant was there. Afterwards, there were 2 helicopters with searchlights searching for something. And the MPs, and what it was is this guy was a roving guard, and I've never been in the military, but what they do is their job is to go out to these old structures and you make sure every door and every window is locked and closed. It's just guard duty. And sometimes the drill sergeant will go out there and unlock something. Just make sure you check, because you say it was all locked, you unlocked, so you don't know he didn't check everything. So that's what this roving guard was doing, way out in the woods, at Harmon Church, way out in the woods.
No kidding.
But I'll tell you the rest of the story in just a few minutes, but it's crazy when we get back. But it was his drill sergeant. They actually called the drill sergeant afterwards, because he got back up after he'd done his roving guard thing, and his drill sergeant was standing there with 2 MPs, and drill sergeant was there in his boxer shorts and his tank top. They got him out of bed, and the guy asked him what was happening. They said a soldier was killed. Something had ripped his chest open. It was big and hairy, and 2 helicopters was chasing it through the woods. And he swears up and down this was the truth. And what happened, of course, there's no documentation on it. Other than that, I never found no other documentation on this story. But it happened right here, just basically in my front yard at Fort Benning. So that's kind of spooky. I mean, you think about these military bases. A lot of times they're secluded. Boogers and stuff are hanging around them places too.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of people ain't going to be out there, kind of like a hunting preserve. They go hang out where people don't come out too often. But that was one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. And you can look it up and listen to the actual guy talk about it. You can tell he's sincere. This happened.
Dale, do you find in the Alabama region, like I've noticed that there seems to be a difference in attitude between Sasquatch? I've interviewed so many Bigfoot people, and it seems like the ones up here in the West Coast, they seem a lot more docile, want to be left alone, but they seem to be curious. The ones on the East Coast seem to roam around a little bit more because there is more population there, maybe a few more sightings. The ones in the South seem to be a little bit shorter, but a little bit more aggressive. Do you notice that as well?
I have. Just like you say, just from reports and things and stories I've heard, they seem to be a little cranky around this, in the South, and get on down into Florida. You got your skunk ape thing going on, and they've been known to be, kind of aggravating and mischievous and stuff like that. So I don't know why there's a difference. I don't know where's the humidity and the heat here, or I don't know. Maybe it's just the area and just the way the boogers do it. Maybe they're kind of like people. They're different clans. They're different personalities. They're big ones and tall ones, and fat ones and short ones. Just like pretty ones and ugly ones, just like us. So maybe it's just I mean, just a clan thing, or just, uh, just like your area where you were raised at, and that's all you know. These boogers are just mischievous, and they like to mess with us, and it seems like they like to be seen, or not, or they're not afraid to be seen. There's so many sightings, and there's so many friends that I've got, and a good dear friend of mine, Coonbo Baker.
Love
He's very
Kumbo.
legendary. Yeah, he's a dear friend of mine. He's my mentor when it comes to to boogering and Bigfoot. But yeah, to listen to Coonbo, he tells you some of the stories that some of the boogers seem to appear more like a Neanderthal type. They seem to be that kind of scary from reports I've heard. I never seen that with my own eyes, but so I don't know why it's different like that. I don't think we have any patties around here. You never hear anybody say, "I've seen a Bigfoot and it looked just like that one on the PG film." So they're just maybe it's got to do with our southern cooking. But I think they get in our dumpsters and they get them beans and taters sometimes. So that could be it.
We got about 40 seconds to go. One thing that we do at our area, Dale, is we do everything the same. We park in the same spot. We put our lawn chairs in the same spot. We do everything the same. I even try to dress the same each and every time I'm out there with my shirt, my jacket, make sure I'm wearing the same ball cap, that they know absolutely everything. And I think it's a matter with these creatures that it's almost about pattern with them, which gives them a little bit more comfortability with everything. So I think that's what makes contact a little bit more easier. But we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have Dale Boswell for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. We'll get to some questions next. Oh, all I can taste is forest fire smoke in my throat. Oh,
Right. How far are you from the fires, mileage wise?
Mileage about 28 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought where the boogers are going or what they're doing during all this?
Well, the good part about it is that my two clans that I deal with, they are their areas aren't touched.
Good.
Yeah.
I've always been curious what happens to them. I guess they just take off and like a deer would or whatever. But of course, I don't know if they've got places they stay constantly, or that they live at, or if they just wander around from here to there. It's such a mystery. It's one that I kind of hope don't ever get solved because it's kind of fun. I don't want the UFO disclosure to turn into a Sasquatch disclosure, but it'd be interesting.
I really hope cryptid research doesn't go the way of UFOs, because what we're seeing now the last few years in UFOs is, to me, ruining the field.
It is. And it could go that direction. And if you think about the UFOs, the market or the people, we've been so saturated with UFO stuff. I mean, from years and years ago, the movies and everything. And so a UFO, alien stuff, that's just everyday thing to people, really, and I think that's why nobody is really freaking out, like, they're saying, yeah, these things are real, and everybody, people are like, well, that's okay. Let's go to McDonald's, get a hamburger. And you would think that people were like, what? Yeah. But I think the market has been so saturated, like with everything, UFO, alien movies, going that people, it's just in their brain, or that it didn't freak them out. And I think the Sasquatch thing is heading in the same direction, because there's so many Bigfoot movies, Sasquatch movies, the clothes, shirts, t-shirts, cups. There's you walk into Hobby Lobby, there's whole walls full of nothing but Sasquatch stuff, and things. So I think maybe it may be heading in the same direction as far as saturating the people, getting them used to what this is, and maybe one day when it comes out, it'll be the same way. There's a booger out there in them woods. They caught it over there at the White House. It was a peeking, trying to get in the pool, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, it's okay. Let's go with this hamburger." People won't pay attention. So, I don't know, what's going on with the government. When you talk about cryptids and stuff that we're not supposed to know about, or that we do know a little bit about, who knows, but it's fun to hang in there and watch. I guarantee you that. It really is. Sure is.
That is true. That is true. Where did you get to meet Kunbo?
Oh, shoot, man. I've known Kunbo for, many years. Probably, I think since 2017, something like that. Yeah, I don't know how we first met up, but we did, and we become real good friends. He calls me often. We went. I went to his birthday party this year. Well, that was fun. Early in the year, up near Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Had a big meet and greet for Kunbo's birthday party. We had a great time. But yeah, he calls me often, and then he loves country music, and it's so crazy. He'll call me and want to talk about country music, but I'll be wanting to talk about boogers, so we'll go back and forth, So, but yeah, Kunbo's he's the man. He's the one I take notes from, and I love him. I love him to death. He was at this conference we just had here in Phenix City, just back in March at Townhouse Conference. It was great. We had my buddy M.K. Davis was there, and goofy buddy Stacy Brown. We just had a big, nice conference.
We're coming back in 5 seconds. Thank you, T-Bone ×2. I met Kunbo at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference last year, so that's how I know. Here we go. Second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Bigfoot researcher Dale Boswell is here. He's got Bigfoot in his backyard in Alabama. You ever feed him, Dale?
No, not really. As far as feeding them, every once in a while, if we got some leftover fruit that's going a little bad or something, apples or bananas or something, I'll take them and I'll just chunk them out there in the woods, just for whatever might get them. And I'll say something like, "Hey, I got something. Here it comes," just in case they're listening. I'll just chunk it. So I don't know if they're getting it or not. I suppose so, or something is. But as far as like gifting type thing, I've never done that. It's peanut butter or whatever people put out for them. I may try it sometime, just see what happens. But up at this point, I've never done anything like that. I have put stuff out like on this old fence post out there where I seen the booger out, put oranges on top of or in tree limbs and stuff to see what happened to them if they disappear, and they do, of course, but it could be deer or anything. But I've never had a booger give me anything back that I know of, so maybe I need to give them something for a prize, and maybe they'll give me a turtle shell or something.
What kind of signs do they leave you when they're around?
Just basically just tree structures, and the tree bends, breaks. There was one night I was out by my booger hut, excuse me, and I was filming for video, and a big old tree fell not far from me. I didn't see it, but you could hear it good. I mean, I was filming when it called. I mean, you could see me turn, and what was that? And I don't know if a booger pushed a tree over or not, but yeah, I didn't go out there because it was dark. Till the next morning, walk where I heard it, and it was showing up a big old tree was pushed over, and it looked like a tree that shouldn't have died and just fell over. So I don't know if that was a sign or what, but you see things like that, and there was other times where my booger. I call it my booger hut. Again, it's like a gazebo type booger, little little rails you can get up and sit on it, and got a pretty little roof, but it's not actually a gazebo. It kind of looks like one, homemade. But I'll sit on that and look out towards the woods, So one evening I was going out there. One more I can't remember. And I was looking towards a specific area where I usually look at. I couldn't see anything. I was like, well, and I was trying to look over it. So I walked out there, and it looked like a big old tree was pushed down to block my view. And this tree was green. It had green on it. The leaves were green and stuff. But it wasn't only pushed down, it was broke about 7 feet off the ground. It was just broke clean, a fresh, live tree. And because it had not all the leaves, but most leaves on it and stuff, it was kind of full. And it blocked my view of looking towards the tree structure and things where I normally look at. So I've often wondered, maybe they did that, I don't know. And right beside it, there was a tree twist where they take them and twist them, tree, and bend them back. There was one of those right there beside it. So again, I don't know if it's a message from them or it could be Mother Nature. I don't know that's causing. Actually, that one tree, that same day after I had discovered that, I went down to the store and run into a fella, and we were talking about Bigfoot, and he kind of interested in it and stuff. I said, well, come on to the house, check this out. And I went and showed him, and I wanted to show him because he was a tree surgeon. His business was working with trees, and I wanted to show him something. So he came out to my house, and I showed him that. And he looked around, and he said, I don't know how that tree got in that position. He said, unless a little tornado this big come through and broke it. He said, but there's no reason why that tree should be broke right there, that shape, and sitting on it. And it kind of scared him, when I got to telling him what I thought might have done it. And he didn't come back. But that's the only signs they get where they may be leaving signs. I don't know. It's just a theory, but something's going on. There's you talk about tree breaks. There's many times that a thunderstorm would be coming to my area, and a lot of times I would get out in the backyard and I would kind of film around here and there and stuff, just see before the storm, then go back later and see after the storm. And lots of times there was hardly ever anything that you think was broke, tore down, whatever. But go out there during clear, pretty days, nights, and find this stuff when there's been no wind and no storms to cause it. And it is such a I call it a prestigious hobby. It's such a fascinating subject. I enjoy it, and I'm sorry for rambling. I'm rambling a little bit, but it's been a long day, and my voice has been kind of weak. I've had some trouble with my throat, so my voice is kind of whispery. It's kind of weak. So, but yeah, it's just amazing living here. This house is about to fall down, but I wouldn't move nowhere else. I don't want to leave my boogers and my cats. And the roof is good, so home is where the heart is, and this is where my heart is. But I've often you want to come out to the house, come out and I'll take you out there, and we might see something, we might not, but I can show you where I saw things at and stuff.
Well, let's get to a couple audience questions here.
All right.
Bill, have you attempted to woo the Bigfoot with your seductive guitar playing?
But, actually, I have went out there a few times. Of course, when I go on camping meet and greets and stuff, I always take it. But I have, and what I would do, I would sit out there by the by campfire or whatever, and I'd be playing. And people in front of me, I'd say, "Now, y'all don't watch me so much, but watch behind me in the woods, and just see if anything comes out or throws a rock at me or something." So far, I've never seen or heard anything, but you've always heard that they love music and are attracted to it. And I've written a lot of songs. I'm a singer and songwriter, and you can look up some of my music. You can just Google my name is the best way to find all my stuff. You Google Dale Boswell, and you'll find my music, my YouTube stuff, and all of that. And hopefully you'll find something you like. But I've written several, Bigfoot related songs. One, and let me talk about this real quick. It's not related to it, but it's a song I wrote and recorded back in 2006, and it's called "My Soldier Prayer," and it's gotten a lot of radio airplay since then. Especially on around holidays, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and stuff like that. But it's a tribute to the fallen soldier, to our fallen heroes. And it's probably the simplest song I've ever written, but it's gotten the most attention of anything I've written. In fact, country music legend George Jones heard it and said, and he actually said he thought it was the greatest military tribute he had ever heard. And he actually, back then, he wanted some copies of the CD in this country music store, so we actually took them to him and visited him at his home in Franklin, Tennessee, and took him some CDs. And God, that was the biggest house I ever been in my life. Ooh, Lord. My house would fit in his living room. I mean, it was awesome. But there's pictures of all this. Like I said, I document everything on my Facebook page. You can look it up, where George Jones' home, But the song is called "My Soldier Prayer," and it's gotten, like I said, gotten a lot of attention. And it's a tribute to our fallen heroes. And I've been fortunate to play that song on a lot of major venues in Nashville. The major venues there, the Ernest Tubb Midnight Jamboree, the Troubadour Theater, the Nashville Palace, Tootsie's Orchard, everywhere everybody goes. I'm not saying I am no star by no means, but I play in a lot of the stages that all the big stars have played on. And it's all because of this song. So if you get a chance to listen to it, it's called "My Soldier Prayer." Take a listen to it, and just I know you appreciate it. If you have a military family, I know they'll hear that, they'll like it, and they'll appreciate it. You don't, and it's bragging, but I have never sang that song in person that I didn't get a standing ovation. And that's the biggest thing you can get in a music career, baby. When you get a standing ovation, that's good. And every time I sing that song, I look out. We play biker clubs and things like. We just play everything. I played for about 35 years professionally with a band that's called the Stroking Dixie Band, and we were one of the hottest bands in this area, and we had a lot of fun. But we play like a biker event, and I'd play this song and look out and see tears coming out of the eyes of these bikers, crying when they heard the lyrics of this song. I'll come off stage and people will just gather around me, thanking me for this song and telling me the stories of their fallen heroes and their fallen family. Thanking me, and I let them know. I did write the song, but if it was sent to me from somewhere else. If it's having this effect on people, it's somebody sent me this song to sing for people. And it's been played at funerals for our military soldiers and things like that. But it's called "My Soldier Prayer," and it's if I have any achievements in the music business, that would be the song that
Beautiful.
that I'll be recognized for.
I know one time I had a First Nations friend of mine come up to our site, and she brought her indigenous drum and she was singing. And probably within 2-3 minutes her finishing singing, probably about 40 yards in the tree, we had the loudest tree knocks I've ever heard happen.
Whoa.
It was like Babe Ruth taking a baseball bat to a tree and swinging the hardest in his life twice in a row. So
Man.
I encourage you to keep trying the music when you're out there.
I've heard tree knocks back there, but I've never responded to them. I don't know if I was supposed to or not, but yeah, I'm gonna keep playing for the boogers, and maybe they'll come around. In fact, a lot of people in the community call me that singing Bigfoot guy. I even had a nurse one time call me that. I don't know where she got it from, but she said, "Ain't you that singing Bigfoot guy?" Then she told me a story about when she saw a booger up in Auburn, Alabama, and this was several years ago, but it was a pretty cool story. And it was a white one, matter of fact, the way she described it. And she said, actually, and to tell you the story, she said, she went out on her back porch and there was a pond just kind of down the hill from where she, in her on her property. And one evening she walked out, she said, she thought, well, a big Labrador retriever drinking water in the pond. And she said, all of a sudden he just stood up on 2 feet and walked off. And this nurse told me this story, and I thought, well, that's a pretty cool story, for somebody that, just didn't know anything about Bigfoot or really care about it. And those are the best stories that you hear. People that, just was there, and there it goes. I don't know what it was, but this is what I saw. And I've heard a lot of those. And I've documented a lot of them, too, Actually, I've actually got a story, and you can see this on my page. Have you ever heard of Butterbean, the fighter, the boxer fighter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I met him at one time at a convention thing where I was doing a Bigfoot thing, and it was actually a paranormal event, but they had some Bigfoot stuff, and I was the Bigfoot guy. And Butterbean was there, and that was so cool. So I was talking to him, about Bigfoot, and he told me a story about his brother that saw Bigfoot, and when he went down trying to find him. And I actually recorded Butterbean telling me a story about, he lives up around Jasper, Alabama, not far from where I live at, but that's pretty cool to hear Butterbean tell a Bigfoot story. He looks pretty big on TV, and he's wide, but he's not much taller than me. But boy, that boy has some big old hands. I guess no wonder, he was such a fighter and such a champion guy. But there's a few celebrities I've talked to about Bigfoot too. Most of them don't want to be publicly known about it because they don't want to be in that name stuck with them, especially if you're a well-known entertainer. But it does happen. I think I've kind of stumbled off track here.
That's okay. We allow that on this show, Dale. We allow that. Dale, T-Bone wants to know if you've encountered any orbs on your booger encounters.
I did one time that I guess maybe what it was. But, and again, I've got photos of this. I take photos of everything. Not everything, but just stuff that I want to document. But there's one night I was back there in my booger hut, and I saw a light. It's kind of in the trees, in the tree line, but it was up high. It seemed like it was up real high, so I didn't know if it was a moon or exactly what it was, but it didn't quite look like a moon, but it was high. It wasn't near the ground, but it was up off the ground. So I took a photo of it. Then not long after that, I went to the house and was looking at it. So I decided just to analyze that photo, look at it real close and stuff. And I zoomed in there, and I swear it looked like a monkey face in that orb, just like a monkey face. Maybe it's just coincidence or orb. I don't know what. Maybe it made the moon. Well, I know it wasn't the moon, but whatever it was. That's the only time I've experienced that I call an orb. I've never seen the lights going through the woods or anything like that. So that would be cool to see that. So But yeah, if anybody's got any questions, hopefully I can answer them. I'm having a ball. I'm enjoying. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'd like to go ahead and tell you, I really appreciate it. And y'all look me up and give me a holler sometime, and just check out some stuff and let me know what you're doing. But thank everybody for tuning in.
Well, let's get to another question here, and let's go to Jules here. What do you use for your films? Are you using a phone or a camera?
Basically, it's been my cell phone. Since I had a cell phone, of course, I have a thermal camera that I use. I got a night vision camera that I use, and just regular video cameras. But it seems like the cell phone is the easiest to access and to work with, because you're filming on something else and you got to download it and on your computer or SD card or whatever. So normally I just use cell phone, and the phones these days they got excellent pixels and just loaded with pixels and good good stuff. So of course probably a real video camera. The plus on that, using the video camera, is the capability of zooming in and zooming out. So if you can use a real video camera and you think there's boogers, I'd definitely go with that, as opposed to cell phones. But not many people carry around those kind of cameras anymore.
Correct. I think we got time for one more question here. John Lamb wants you to tell how the booger zapped his party speaker. What is this all about?
Who asked that?
John Lamb.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought that's what you said. Oh, I didn't know hey, John. Well, this happened at a meet and greet that we had on a group that I'm a member of, a great group called the Woodwalkers. And man, they top line researchers and people in that group. You should look them up. It's called Woodwalkers with a Z at the end. But we had a big meet and greet a couple of years ago, and there were a lot of people. I think there were over 100 people there at one of them. But anyway, that night, of course, like I said, I always take my guitar, and there's a couple other people would bring guitars. But John brought a speaker. One of these portable speakers. It's pretty big. You can't tell you how to kind of pull it around. Got wheels on, I believe. But nice speakers. So we hooked. We was going. I had a microphone, and this guitar is electrified. If you want to electrify it, plug it in. So we plugged it in, and we was playing a few songs, and he had fully charged it. And we played one or two songs, and it went out, just died, just like the energy was sucked out. And he said that had never happened before, and of course, they ain't out boogering, and I've talked about cameras. I have had instances where I'll be out in the backyard or whatever with my cameras or cell phone or whatever, but mostly if I had real cameras out there, a lot of times they would die. I know they were charged, but I've heard of these boogers zapping the energy out of stuff. So I've had that happen to cameras before, if that's what happened. But that's what happened during that time. I can't believe you remember that, John. But yeah, I think the booger shut us down. He didn't like what we was playing. I think I was playing House of the Rising Sun. He shut me down.
We have troubles with batteries. I can leave my trail cameras out there for 2-3 weeks and my batteries will barely move. And then I'll go back the following week and my batteries are dead. And
that's crazy. That's
we've
crazy
had it.
Phenomenon. Something's doing that.
The last time we did some big time filming in there a couple of years ago, we brought 5 days worth of batteries. They were dead in a day and a half.
Oh, wow.
Were we zapped? Was it paranormal? I don't know.
Well, I would just say the boogers did it. Even if you think about just humans, the wartime thing, the first thing you go after is communications. When you're having war like over there and we're having now, you shut down the infrastructure, their communication. I wonder if maybe boogers are thinking the same thing. Let's shut this down right now. No batteries allowed. So that is crazy. And that has happened to me several times. And it's so weird. It's probably like you. It never happens anywhere else. It don't happen at home. It don't happen at the grocery store. It don't happen when you're out fishing. And it's crazy how that does happen.
Dale, we got about a minute 20 left with you tonight, and I want to say a big thank you for coming on tonight's show. It's been absolutely great with you. Do me a favor. Take some time to tell everybody where they can find your YouTube channel, your music, everything.
Well, the best way to do it is just Google Dale Boswell, and that'll take you to all my stuff. But my Facebook is Dale Boswell Music, is what my Facebook name is. And, of course, YouTube is just at Dale Boswell. Hey, I got time singing just a piece of a song, just kind of a booger song.
You got about 40 seconds.
Okay, here goes. Have you ever seen a live armadillo just sitting on the side of the road? They've always got their feet just sticking straight up in a dead little armadillo pose. Could be playing possum, I'm just saying, I don't know. But I have never seen a live armadillo just sitting on the side of the road. One time I saw Elvis, he was shopping at a discount store. Bigfoot lives in my backyard and Batman lives next door. Seeing is believing, and I believe in UFOs, but I've never seen a live armadillo just sitting on the side of the road.
Dale Boswell, everybody. Hour 3 is next. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, are we through?
We're done.
Oh, all right. Well, dang. I really enjoyed that, brother. And, man, you give me a holler sometimes and keep me up to date what's going out there in your areas that you're
I will,
looking at.
brother. I will. Thank you.
And
Thank you for everything. You're a
stay away
beautiful
from them
man.
flames. Thank you, sir. I
Take
appreciate
care.
it. It's been an honor, and you stay away from them flames out there and tell your honey I said hello. I appreciate you. Appreciate her donating you for the time to do this tonight.
Take care, buddy.
You take care. Bye.
Good night.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty
object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now. Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right, we got about 30 seconds left. Thank you to T-Bone for our super chats, and then going another extra mile and literally gifting 3 memberships. Thank you, T-Bone. Let's bring in Grant Baker. Look at that mustache. Isn't that looking nice? Swamp Dweller tonight will be about 2 minutes, 18 seconds. Hi, Grant.
Hey, Bubba.
Here we go. This is the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. All right. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? It is Bopers. Bopers is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. A little detail to understand. I live in the Ozark Mountains. I have about 63 acres of land on a mountainside, and I'm about 20 minutes from both towns near me. My house was originally a cabin built in the 1800s that someone built onto. I don't have much more knowledge on the house because of all the paperwork being burned in a courthouse fire. Weird things have always happened in and around the house, but those are stories for a different time. Last year around February, I had a huge argument with my husband and decided to hike up the mountain to cool off. My husband went to work in his Jeep, and I have my 5 dogs, so I took them and went up the mountain. Normally, my dogs run around through the trees, but they always keep me in their sight. This time, they stuck very close to me. I noted it and just assumed it was because they knew how upset I was. We made it to the clearing, and it just seemed so still up there. I felt a little uneasy, but ignored it and climbed up to our deer stand. I sat there for about 20 minutes, taking some pictures. I looked down to see my dogs at the base of the tree standing in different directions in alert stances. The feeling of dread washed over me. I scrambled down the deer stand and walked across the clearing with dogs in tow. I did not want to run because we do have predators in the area. Suddenly, I hear what sounds like loud whistling. I stopped in my tracks. My dogs are now on high alert and are all staring behind me to the left. My husband's voice came from that direction. He was screaming my name like something was wrong. I cannot describe the fear that came over me. I continued to walk down the mountain and walked over to my husband, asking him what was wrong. He looked at me confused and told me he had no idea what I was talking about. I kind of forgot about it until today. I woke up to loud whistling outside of my house at around 4 to 5 a.m. It was the same whistling I used to call my dogs home with. Parts of the whistle was wrong, though. All of my dogs were inside, and my husband was still asleep. Part of me told me to go check it out, but a voice in my head told me not to. I listened to the voice. I'm not sure if this was a knot deer, a tall deer, a skinwalker, a wendigo, whatever you want to call them, but it was definitely creepy and seems to fit the bill.
Thank you, Swampy, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night, so make sure you check it on out. From the swamp to the stars, let's bring in Grant for the UFO report.
Staring at the stars tonight. There goes shining in the sky. Grant's got the stories breaking through. What hidden now comes into view. From distant light to secret clouds, mystery strikes on mountain miles. Revealed. Every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO Max, we've got your becomes a song.
All right, here's Grant Baker in the UFO report. And man, you're getting hit by forest fires down there. I'm getting hit by them up here. How's your throat? Because I'll tell you, I've did so much forest fire smoke the last couple of days, man. I am hoarse.
Yes. No, it's excuse me. Exactly. No, the good thing is right now we got a kind of a reprieve. The wind was in our favor today, but it is fanning the flames. We have apps and things, especially where we live, and there's every county's staged in sections, and it's KLA-2066. That's mine, and then it just goes on. I'm about 13, districts away from the fire, and right now it's blowing east. Thank goodness. Well, all the people that are living east right now, they're on high alert and they're at the ready set mark. And then the next one, if it hits us, we get notifications on our cell phones and it rings everybody and it says, go, 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 like get out of there. Most of us are staged, prepped, ready to go. And the sky was nice and blue on our side of the lake. because of the winds. And yeah, but my condolences for anybody that's in the path of this thing, because it is a monster.
The one up here that is burning about 27, 28 miles south of me, it is the size of over 100,000 football fields.
Yeah.
Now, think how big a football field is. 100 yards, easy to say. But when you walk into a football stadium, okay, that's a big field, man.
Yes.
Now, take 100,000 of those. Yeah.
That dwarfs ours in comparison.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Time Magazine getting into the UFO story. It's only been 9 years since, they been actually paying attention. Give us the rundown.
Yeah, Time came out with a really interesting article. And this was on August 6, 2026 at 5 a.m. Early risers, America is finally taking extraterrestrials seriously is the headline. And there was nothing much happening in Jerome and Benno lawyers' yard in Hamel, Minnesota on August 11, 1948. It was noontime in the thick of summer, and the boys, 10 and 8, were idly playing when, as they later described it, something overhead caught their eye. They looked up and their jaws dropped. Roughly 12 feet up in the air was a dull gray circular object, only about a foot thick and 2 feet in diameter, slowly descending between them. They stood transfixed as the object settled onto the ground, making a clattering sound like metal hitting metal. The object rested there a moment and then began emitting a high-pitched whistle that, to the boys, sounded like a tea kettle. It spun in place, then shot 20 feet into the air, hovered for a moment, and ascended to 30 feet, maneuvering around tree branches and telephone wires in its path. Finally, it jetted out of sight. Jerome and Benno ran inside and told their parents what they had seen. Their father notified the only authority he could think of, R.R. Sheridan, the local postmaster. Sheridan, in turn, called the FBI field office in St. Paul. To the family's surprise, the Bureau sent an agent. He interviewed the boys and inspected the yard. Quote, the spot where the alleged flying saucer had landed was approximately 2 feet in diameter and appeared as though a heavy object had landed there or had touched down, read the statement in the official report. The ground was dented and protruding rocks had been leveled. So this thing had some weight to it. The boys grew up and moved on. Nothing came of the mysterious sighting, but the government preserved the report all the same. Filing away in a cache of documents it had already begun keeping, of both civilian and military accounts of flying, hovering, blinking objects that appeared in the skies, or skittered about, and sometimes even touching down and then vanishing back the way they came, just as Jerome and Benno's object had. For 78 years, the boys' story, and hundreds of others like it, had languished in storage, until May 8th, 2026, when President Donald Trump began a serial release of 4 tranches of more than 450 official reports, going back to the middle of the last century, ordering that they be posted on a Department of Defense website and made available for public perusal. After decades of secrecy, stigma, and sometimes silliness, like the conspiratorial talks, recovered spacecraft, and alien remains at a place known as Area 51 in Roswell, New Mexico, the government has at long last begun taking things seriously. What used to be called UFOs and now go by a more decorous handle of UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomenon, are being given the full investigatory treatment. Congressional hearings into the origins of the sightings were held in 2022 and 2023. In 22, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO, was established to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest. In December of 2023, then President Joe Biden signed into law the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act, requiring the collection, review, and public disclosure of all sightings and encounters. On June 12th, capturing the global hunger for answers to the UAP mystery, director Steven Spielberg, who has long had a sort of seismographic sense of the popular mood, released his latest film, Disclosure Day, in which a government cover-up of extraterrestrial visitations is exposed. The movie grossed $94 million worldwide on its opening weekend alone. At about the same time, the White House established the UAP Science Advisory Council, a body led by Harvard astrophysicist and cosmologist Avi Loeb, to study the national security risk posed by UAPs. Here's the quotes. I was tasked to create a panel for the White House, AARO, the Director of National Intelligence, the FBI, and related agencies, so that all of these organizations are in contact about UAPs, says Loeb. It's clear, based on how much better sensors that we have, that there are objects the intelligence agencies and the Pentagon do not and cannot figure out. It's not just for the government, academia, and Hollywood to do that figuring. Last year, the nonprofit Disclosure Foundation, led by former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence Christopher Mellon, was launched with the aim of encouraging the release of UAP reports, promoting scientific investigations of sightings, supporting whistleblowers, and formulating policy related to UAPs. On June 25th of this year, the group convened a Capitol Hill forum in the Kennedy Caucus Room of the Russell Senate Office Building. The day-long event featured political figures including Representatives Eric Burleson, Republican of Missouri, Anna Paulina Luna, Republican Florida, Andre Carson, Democrat Indiana, and Suhas Subramaniam, Democrat of Virginia. The Senator Mike Rounds is the Republican of South Dakota. Loeb was present, as were other well-lettered experts discussing the technological, national security, economic, physiological, and even religious implications of UAPs. The speakers acknowledged that in some respects, they were there at their peril, since publicly discussing flying saucers still carries reputational risks. You're black, you're Muslim, you present a district in Indiana, Carson said of himself, and now you want to talk about UAPs. But it's a measure of the growing public's interest in the phenomena and the mounting evidence that something is out there, that more and more serious people are willing to take that risk. Even former President Barack Obama weighed in on the topic. In a February interview, Obama was asked if extraterrestrial life exists, and he responded, "They're real." Hastening to add, though, "But I haven't seen them. They're not being kept at Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's an enormous conspiracy and they hid it even from the President of the United States." Something we've all been talking about. Obama then added he based his belief in the likelihood of extraterrestrial beings in part on the fact that, statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there. That's a point a lot of believers make, especially since NASA's Kepler Space Telescope and the other space-based and Earth-based observatories have discovered thousands of exoplanets or planets orbiting other stars, leading astronomers to conclude that virtually every one of the trillions of stars in the sky has at least one world circling it. As with all things in loud, messy, pluralistic democracy, public opinion plays a role here too, and Americans are clearly ready for action. According to a poll conducted by the Disclosure Foundation just weeks before the Capitol Hill Forum, 84% of respondents want more information from the government on UAPs. 69% believe UAPs are real, 59% support hearings and transparency laws, and just 21% trust the federal government to be telling the complete truth. The responses are bipartisan. A statistically meaningless 1% separates the whopping 89% of Republicans and 88% of Democrats who say they want more information on UAPs. You could be a single issue candidate running in the U.S., says Jordan Flowers, the Disclosure Foundation's executive director. That single issue could be UAP transparency, and you could get elected just based on that. Unlike other single issues like taxation, immigration, or climate, which unfold indefinitely over decades, UAP transparency has a fixed end point. The government will tell all it knows. The sightings will be investigated, and their origins will be determined to be terrestrial, highly advanced military or other assets, or, epocally, extraterrestrials. My null hypothesis would be that these are human-made objects being operated by adversarial nations, near strategic assets of the U.S., says Avi Loeb. And if they're not, If they do come from elsewhere, that will be the biggest discovery ever made by humanity. Then there is a question of security. The U.S. Senate doesn't lend out the Kennedy Caucus Room to just anybody. Opened in 1909, the room is a prepossessing place with carved marble walls measuring 74 feet long, 54 feet wide, and 35 feet high. Big room. Climbing to an ornate ceiling decorated with gilded rosettes and acanthus leaves. The door of the room opened onto the Russell Building's vaulted marble rotunda, which rises 3 stories high. The Caucus Room has seen a lot of history. It was the site of the hearing of the sinking of the Titanic, the Teapot Dome scandal, Pearl Harbor and Vietnam War, Watergate, Iran-Contra, and more. Both John and Robert Kennedy announced their presidential runs there. It was thus no small thing that the Disclosure Foundation was cleared to use the space to hold its June 25 summit. The 300-plus people in attendance took the event exceedingly seriously. Despite the once flaky, fringy, fantastical topic under discussion, the vibe was clearly not Burning Man, Comic-Con, or South by Southwest. One attendee was decked out in a T-shirt featuring a bug-eyed alien playing electric guitars. But for everyone else in the room, business attire was the order of the day. Today, experts that rarely occupy the same room, like physicists, historians, economists, intelligence professionals, educators, journalists, and policymakers, are gathered here in this room, said Christopher Mellon in his opening remarks, to discuss a subject that was, until very recently, untouchable. Of all the panels that appeared throughout the day, it was a morning session on the security and defense implications of UAPs that had the most gravity. The panelists discussed the repeated sightings of UAPs both by naval pilots and personnel at military bases, raising concerns about the permeability of armed aerospace, American aerospace. If the object's origins were indeed found to be extraterrestrial, the technology of the alien species far eclipses any flying machine human beings have ever developed. If they are terrestrial, built and flown by rival nations, they signal an arms race that we are already losing. Retired Naval Lieutenant Ryan Graves had his first encounter with a UAP off the east coast of the U.S. 14 years ago and more in 2 years that followed. We came back from a deployment in 2012 and began to upgrade our radar systems, he told Time, and we immediately saw objects in our working area that we were not expecting. There were usually anywhere between 3 and 6 objects with the aerospace within the airspace off the coast of Virginia Beach, sometimes completely stationary at very high winds, sometimes flying at 250 to 350 knots or 288 to 402 miles per hour. The object, Graves says, were 5 to 15 feet in diameter and appeared to be gray or black cube inside a clear sphere. They gave off no exhaust and flew in such a way, diving and soaring and suddenly changing direction, that any human passenger would be subject to potentially deadly G-forces. Sometimes they flew so close to the Navy jets that the pilots were required to file hazard reports so that other planes operating in the vicinity could be warned. They would be outside doing these behaviors all day, Graves said. It might appear that these objects are using magical physics we don't understand. As part of the pilot's routine rotation, they later shifted their operations to the waters off of Jacksonville, Florida. They got no peace there either. UAP, says Graves, were either already down there or they had followed us because we had over a dozen incidents. The naval flyers, Virginia and Florida, encounters are by no means the only experience the military have had with UAPs. One of the most compelling is so-called the Tic Tac incident, which occurred off the coast of California in 2004 during an otherwise routine deployment that year. Radar personnel repeatedly noticed the reflection of skittering airborne objects they could not explain, looping and diving, climbing, and then dropping to an altitude of 80,000 feet to 20,000 feet. To crack the mystery, a team of flyers was scrambled into the sky. Once aloft, they discovered what they estimated to be a 45-foot-long flying machine that bore a striking resemblance to a Tic Tac breath mint, and that would be Commander David Fravor. All 4 of us looked down and saw a Tic Tac object moving very abruptly over the water, said pilot David Fravor in 2023 appearance before a congressional committee. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any signs of visible controls, or any surfaces like wings. As they pulled nose onto the object within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated and disappeared. Military assets on the ground have been harassed too. For 17 straight nights in December of 24, Langley Air Force Base in Hampton, Virginia, was swarmed by objects that appeared overhead 45 minutes after sundown and repeatedly flew over the base. According to one eyewitness, former astronaut Scott Kelly, who in 2022 was tapped to serve on a NASA UAP study team, the object appeared to be 20 feet long, flying at an altitude of 3,000 to 4,000 feet at a speed of 100 miles an hour. The incursion became serious enough that Langley canceled nighttime training flights and moved its F-22 jets to another airbase. More dramatic.
Hold on right there because we only got about a minute left.
Absolutely.
And thank you for reading all of that. In listening to what you were saying, because I read it earlier.
Yeah.
But in listening to what you were saying, this entire article by Time Magazine is about 6-7 years old.
Yep.
Nothing new. Going back to the 3 videos that were released in 2017. And now 9 years later, they're trying to make this a front page news copy. And look, I know Time Magazine has some pull, but really what you can tell there's no research into this except for everything that has happened. It's the same talking heads with the same stories, with the same videos, telling us the same stories for 9 years. And I don't want to sound bad about that. And we'll continue that conversation when we return. UFO Report with Grant Baker. Right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Clear.
I can go to the breakdown real quick because I did write down like what to read between the lines, and I got that in front of me. It is a long article, and but I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are just not going to read it. They're going to take us for our word at it.
Well, we'll get to that when we return.
Yep.
We'll get to that when we return. Overall, I think it's Time Magazine. I'll say my shit at the break. What are you doing, Dave? You moron. All right.
Taking after Grant for a moment. Quit it.
Yeah. Or Belief Hole Podcast. How are you? Thomas Rock. How you doing? Dale Boswell, if you're listening in, thank you. Loves your guitars.
He'd really like this one here, the ESP lawsuit guitar, 1987 ESP Mirage Custom lawsuit. It's the coolest guitar I got. The Ibanez that's right here is pretty cool as well. Very old Ibanez. In fact, these two are Ibanez. This is the ESP. This is a Stratocaster. And this is a Yamaha right here. And then upstairs, I got Tanara. I got Teton, Fender, more Yamahas. I got a Yamaha bass up there. I got all kinds of guitars, man. T-Bone, you're on fire tonight. Thanks.
T-Bone is on fire tonight. Unintended.
Yes. No pun intended. Yeah, my next guitar is going to be a Martin, but if I don't quit buying vehicles, I won't be able to afford it.
What are you getting next?
Martin guitar. There's couple of them I'm looking at, but they're expensive. I am not a Jimmy, Mel. I don't have a wall of guitars.
Lex Diaz, how you doing?
My bike is bigger than his anyway. If Jimmy, you're listening.
Here for guitars. I got a Court. I got two Jacksons. Gonna knock off Strat that's autographed by DJ Ashba.
Oh wow. I mean, I got flute, saxophones, violins. I mean, we got all kinds of stuff. We had a trumpet somewhere around here, a nice Yamaha one. I don't know where that one is.
Did you know Fap wears cut-off T-shirts so he could show off his tramp stamp while parading around the bingo hall?
Mm-hmm. That image was forever seared in my brain.
Yeah. Hideous. He wears cufflink shirts without any cufflinks.
Gosh.
He's that guy. He's that guy.
I got a few sets, man. I'll send him a really nice set of them with opals in them. Inlaid opals.
Fap's the kind of guy who wears a cufflink shirt with black blue jeans, a giant hubcap belt buckle, and Crocs.
The Crocs, dude. That's awesome.
He's a socks with sandals kind of guy.
Oh, no. Don't go that far.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Socks with sandals. I'm a flip-flop guy, dude. I'll tell you. Hey dudes are kind of nice. I just bought my first pair. They're all right.
They're nice. The only problem with the Hey Dudes that I found is the soles wear out really fast on them.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and you can feel every rock under your foot with them.
I was wondering if that was just me.
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
But they're so comfy and light.
Oh, they are. And I got the ones with the breather holes in the bottom, so they
nice
walk around in water and just keep walking.
All right, here we go. Thank you, T-Bone, for your major love tonight. Appreciate you. This is the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, the UFO Report with Grant Baker continues. My name is Dave Scott. We're going to get back into this long, arduous Time Magazine article on UFOs. After about 9 years, they're finally realizing that this story is happening. It's on the front page cover. If you want to get one for your collection, in case they ever do decide to disclose. But the problem with the article so far is that they're literally interviewing the same people who have been saying the exact same thing for 9 years. Nothing new, nothing eye-catching, nothing romantic, nothing that's going to make you go, holy cow. Nothing. Grant, continue on.
Right. More dramatic was a report citing by 6 federal law enforcement officers in 2023 near what the official memorandum described as a sensitive national security site in the western United States. For 2 consecutive days, just at dusk, the witnesses reported observing a luminous mother orb appearing to produce smaller red orbs, one after another, multiple times over a period of several hours. The red orbs reportedly persisted for several seconds before disappearing. It is clear that we have lost control of our airspace. Full stop, says Flowers. Whether this is some form of human intelligence or whether it's something else, I am not creative enough to say. Many of these things are certainly not drones, says Luis Elizondo, a former intelligence officer with the Government Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, also known as ATIP. They are advanced technology from somewhere. If you're scrambling jets off Langley, you've got a problem. Not everyone is persuaded by the reports. Great claims require great evidence, says John Kusklowski, director of Arrow Now, and the evidence just isn't there yet. Kelly does not minimize the security risk posed by rogue objects, but does not think they have to have an exotic origin. In science, eyewitness testimonies is kind of an opinion. It's not data. I've never seen anything that couldn't be explained, he said. Kelly points to a sighting he made during his days as a military pilot when he was flying a Tomcat jet off the coast of Virginia. In the midst of the maneuver, the pilot in the back seat of the plane suddenly announced, "We just passed something. It looks like a UFO." What? Kelly asked. Yes, maybe it was like an alien spaceship or something. It looked really weird. Kelly banked the jet around in the opposite direction, looking for the object through his windscreen, and indeed saw it in the distance, though it wasn't showing up on his radar. He drew closer and closer until he was on an intercept course, and the bogey at last resolved itself. It was Bart Simpson, Kelly says. It was a balloon. Are we ready for extraterrestrial disclosure?
Well, I like how they end it with a balloon, because guess what a balloon is? UAP. We're looking for UFOs, but these damn UAPs keep getting in the way.
I'll
be honest with you, Grant. I'm highly disappointed with this story. They could have done, and the journalist could have done so much more with this. You could tell they didn't really do the research, because if they had done the research, they would know that this story is 9 years old.
Correct.
In fact, the guy should be embarrassed. Be blunt.
Well, he's probably not somebody that's digging into UAP enough. He probably just got onto, Google Gemini or whatever and said, "Give me everything you got in the last 75 years of UAP and UFOs," and copied and pasted it. I say that as a tease. So whoever that wrote this took the time. It gets paid to do this. He probably worked hard at it, but it almost sounds like it's one of those where he just looked into it, read what was on Google, and then wrote it down. There are three things that I would say, if you're going to read this article, there's things that you want to read between the lines on. And the biggest one to me is the stigma wall is breaking down. That's not only with the choice of venue, with the Kennedy caucus room, the involvement of figures like Christopher Mellon, that signal that UAP is no longer like a career-ending topic for not only politics, but also military figures. And that's a big deal. That is a step in the right direction. And it's been happening for a long time, and we're starting to see it more and more. So the floodgates are kind of slowly opening on that one. There is a controlled disclosure, versus like public demand. That's just going to happen. And I wrote this, I copied this, the massive public appetite, which is 84% backing transparency. This forces the hand of executive agencies that previously preferred silence. And, it's the creation of cross-agency panels, that tells us that multi-sensor data like radar and electro-optical satellites, it's reached the point where it can no longer be dismissed internally as simply radar glitches or atmospheric conditions or phenomena. And then we also have the Defense Department dilemma, because they're framing UAP primarily through like airspace security. We've said this before, they're going to try to get a money grab on this one, but it gives the Pentagon a politically safe runway to acknowledge anomalous UFOs. I don't like saying UAPs, without having to immediately define their origin or, reveal the kind of sensor capabilities that we have. And that's kind of the takeaway that I got on it. But yes, they're not saying anything new as of yet.
Here's where I see as the positive of this, because it's easy to pick on the negative.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is, Grant, that Time Magazine put it out there. there's a lot of people who rely on Time Magazine's journalism.
Correct.
Okay. There's a lot of people out there who still see the what's the word I was trying to say? Prestigiousness of being in this magazine and being the front cover of this magazine. Okay, there's some prestige to it. The idea that this is a quality article for first-time readers, they may say, wow. But after 9 years of the same story, see, this is my problem with an article like this. Every time we start to take steps ahead, something happens that kicks us right back to the beginning. And that's what this article is. It would be like if 60 Minutes all of a sudden did this article, even though in 2018 they interviewed Robert Bigelow, who said, yeah, they're already here. You don't need to go into space. They're already here. Right? And I believe that every time they do this, like Dan Farrah's movie, what was it all about? The 3 videos again. Every movie out there, Go Fast, Gimbal, Tic Tac, come out to play. Like they're the OG videos that have to be used for the next century about this subject. And I just really think that when we're looking at it, how do you move the topic ahead when the Time Magazine is writing an article that's 9 years old?
And those the Tic Tac, Gimbal, and Go Fast video were in 2004.
Yeah. I don't know. Makes me wonder. Move on. What else you got? This one's going to piss me off.
All right. We got another report here of cell phone footage inside the U.S. government of black triangle UFOs. I had a friend of mine that actually called me one night and said he saw one. They were filmed from under 100 feet away. Now, that would be interesting. Footage clear enough to end the debate about evidence overnight. The whistleblower saying so stood beneath one himself, and his conclusion under oath is that the craft was not human-made and not ours. Dylan Borland, was an Air Force geospatial intelligence analyst whose literal job was identifying aircraft from sensor data. One morning at Langley Air Force Base, notice the common theme there, he watched a 100-foot black triangle hover silently over him, its hull wrapped in a golden transparent plasma that moved like a lava lamp. The air filled with static and the smell of a lightning storm. His phone overheated in his pocket, and the craft shot from a hover to 30,000 feet in roughly 2 seconds. The man trained to identify anything in the sky could not identify it. Arrow, the Pentagon's own UFO office, gave the game away. It logged his sighting as unclassified while burying everything else he described inside a special access program, and that's the tell. A secret American aircraft would have made the sighting itself classified, and they didn't classify it. The craft was never ours. Borland says the same office then falsified his file, sending the intelligence community's top oversight body a report he never signed, the basis for a treason accusation that carries the death penalty. After Dylan's sighting while working at BAE Systems, often mentioned as one of the inheritors of non-human technology in books like Imminent, Dylan came into contact with personnel cleared to a broader legacy UFO program. And from there, he went in an intensive search, combing through all material he could about UFOs, non-human intelligence, and programs related to both. Then came the reprisals. His clearance was strangled through paperwork tricks. A VA program trapped him to a polygraph, while air horns blasted every time he miscounted backwards from 100. Borland says they have other ways of making you doubt your own mind, from government documents describing the ability to implant false memories without drugs to a VA doctor who quietly admitted to him she was CIA. At the center of it is Project Rubik's Cube, a program Borland is legally barred from even acknowledging. Involved in the program is an apparent pyramid-shaped power source of non-human origin, apparently more sensitive than UFO craft itself. Langley's most secret airspace has been penetrated at will before Borland sighting. For 17 straight nights into late 2023, swarms of drones nobody could identify flew over the base while the Pentagon publicly admitted it had no idea what they were and no way to stop them. Borland, who was working counter WMD intelligence at the time, says the swarms weren't wandering. They made straight for the two most sensitive targets on the base, the hangars holding the Air Force stealth fighters and the NASA facility next door. The cover-up is still running. For years, employees at NASA's Langley facilities has tagged photos of labyrinths and hieroglyphs like markings on Google Maps, and one by one, those images are being scrubbed off the internet. We've seen this before. What Borland walked away believing is bigger than a single UFO sighting, that our own government no longer thinks humans are the ones in charge. That is a very interesting narrative. Oh boy, this one really catches me.
The black triangles.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 of them.
Oh, so lucky. I haven't even seen one.
Oh, dude, it scared the hell out of me. Scared the hell out of me both times. But I can tell you this. I'm still up in the air whether they're theirs or ours. I think the smaller ones, the 100-foot ones, are easily ours.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get these ones that people have claimed to have been, you know, the size of a city, or 300, 400 feet long, I don't think that's ours. I think that's alien technology, right? Or when you get ones that people are saying, you know, literally, if you laid this down on the ground, it's going to cover up the entire city.
Yep.
I don't think that's human at all. And we know aerodynamics works very well with triangular shapes. So, especially in stealth. So, are we really looking at that? Are we looking at whether or not I think what Borland saw, I think was a human craft.
Most likely.
Right? That's why it's over an Air Force base. That's why it's around. And this is where we go with the UAP thing again, over UFO.
Yes. The people that I have talked to so far, like yourself, that have seen these triangular craft, there was one that stood out to me the most. And it was a friend of mine named Zach. I won't give his last name, but he's a very religious, God-fearing man. And he knows that I'm into this sort of thing. And one night I get a call and he's like, dude, and him and his wife, you know, they both go to church religiously. And this is just something that wasn't on their radar. Saw a massive triangle, black triangle in the sky. He said it was so big that it blotted out a whole section of stars. And I said, where is it? And he's like, I'm traveling. He was hundreds of miles away from me at that point. And I'm like, gosh, man. So I knew at that moment, he literally called me right away as soon as he seen it. And he's like, dude, I cannot see the stars behind it. And it's massive. And I'm like, how massive? He's like, bigger than a stadium. And I'm like, oh, real big.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Oh,
I mean, I'm getting goosebumps as you told that story, because the big one that I saw with a friend of mine, this craft was literally blocking stars in the sky. And it was like a straight up triangle, but then it started to angle. And then when an airplane flying out of Vancouver heading east started to come into the vicinity, the lights went off. And then all of a sudden it was just gone. It was just gone. And all of a sudden you could see the stars behind it again.
These are the things that I wish we had the sensors, or that they were a little bit cheaper for the everyday civilian to buy. Put in your car, just have it drive around like Google Earth cars and capture everything in the sky. But I don't know. I would love to see one.
You will. Just put it out there. You know that. We have 4 minutes to go, Grant. Get us the latest news from the UK.
The latest news from the UK. Oh, goodness. When it comes to when I had it break down the UK news, and it's kind of a long article, but
give us a point for him.
You got it. So here's what happened, and there's a decision. The UK Ministry of Defense officials closed its dedicated UFO desk, especially its direct hotline and email reporting services in 2009. And there's a military stance explicitly stating that it has no plans to restart investigations, especially when it reported sightings of UFOs. The unit has been running for nearly 60 years since 1950 and preceded more than 12,000 UFO reports over its lifetime. The official explanation, or what the military says, there's zero threat detected. The MOD concluded that in over 50 years of data, not a single report ever yielded evidence of an extraterrestrial presence or a military security threat to the UK. There is also kind of a resource strain here, but in 2009, reported sightings surged dramatically to over 511 months, up from the average 150 per year. Largely attributed to trends like floating sky lanterns and increased public reporting. Officials argued that responses to every report was diverting staff and funds from core defense duties. And there's they said no defense benefit, but there was internal memos from RAF Air Command noted that logging and analyzing sightings consumed increased staff time while producing no valuable defense output. If you want to put a tinfoil hat on this, the details and the whispers that were out there, because if you look beneath the official press statement and declassified files and military memos, they reveal, details that fuel our skepticisms. The mass deletion of data was one of the biggest ones, because they say, following a major internal study, which was Project Condine, in 2000, defense intelligence analysts concluded sightings were likely unexplained atmospheric plasma. We've heard that before. Soon after, the MOD destroyed many raw sighting files and the database used to compile the report. A move experts note naturally invited cover-up theories. Of course it's going to. And there was also a fear of international conspiracy, because declassified memos showed officials explicitly avoided reaching out to allied governments regarding UFO data, specifically noting fears of encouraging quote-unquote international collaboration and conspiracy. I mean, they're deliberately downplaying this as well. There was a strategic memos revealed that officials actively designed reports to absolve the Ministry of responsibility for investigating UFOs, aiming to quiet public UFO mania without admitting any gaps in UK airspace monitoring. The loophole, though, the security loophole argument, former UFO desk officer Nick Pope and other critics argued that completely shutting down the desk left a blind spot, leaving UK airspace unmonitored for foreign secret aircraft and or novel technological threats under the guise of ignoring aliens.
Well, Britain's out, so they say. They said they were out before, but then they really weren't, but now they are. And it just seems like it's nothing new. It's same old in the UK as well. So really, we go into tonight's UFO report learning that nothing's changed.
Exactly.
All old news is new news again. Grant Baker, thank you for another great UFO report. As we say goodnight to Grant. And hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friend,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, like Grant, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Grantavius Maximus.
Same to you, brother.
That Time magazine article went on forever.
Oh, man, dude. When you sent me that, I was like, whoosh. I even had a big breakdown on it too, and I was like, oh, man, dude, I don't even know. That would take up the whole hour. I stopped at like 2/3 through that article, and we just broke it down real quick. It was like, holy mackerel, dude. Good job to that guy for writing it out. I mean, at least it gets it out there. It's baby steps, baby steps.
1 second here.
Thank you, T-Bone.
All of a sudden, out of the blue, my downloads are like slower than freaking molasses.
Oh no, move like pond water, huh?
Yeah, this started about a week ago. River Dog, how are you? Thank you. I saw a couple other people that were in here. They said good night. Silver Cleric, nice to have you here. Kurt M, nice to have you here. That up. Tomorrow night on the show, first Friday of the month, which means Ronald Keith Andrews is here. Ronald Keith Andrews. Thank you to T-Bone for a handful of gifts for the membership. Thank you for the 2 super chats as well. Overly generous, my friend. Overly generous. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up. We got to get ready for New York here, everybody. They're calling in right now. See you later. 1 second. Hello? I don't know. You want me to get him? Okay, I'll go get him. Let me just wrap up, close up my show. I'll be right with you in a minute or two, okay? All right, buddy. All right. That means I got to go. We'll see you on WABC on the Red Apple Audio Network. Grantavius Max, your mustache is beautiful. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow for our Keith.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.